final gift. Mom and Dad were at it again. Even on Christmas Eve, they couldn't stop fighting. Their voices echoed through the living room, turning what was supposed to be a cozy movie night into a battlefield. I huddled deeper into the love seat, trying to block them out as Asterisk, the Polar Express Asterisk, played on the TV. It was my favorite Christmas movie, but tonight, I could barely enjoy it. "I can't believe you spent so much money, Carol," Dad snapped, his face twisted with anger. "We agreed to cut back this year." "No, Asterisk, you Asterisk agreed," Mom shot back, rolling her eyes. "It's Christmas. We shouldn't be pinching pennies like this." "Oh, give me a break. Why can't you ever listen?" "Because you're a cheapskate, that's why." I couldn't take it anymore. "Do you guys want hot chocolate?" I interrupted, forcing a cheerful smile. They both turned, startled, as if they'd forgotten I was there. The tension in the room was thick, almost suffocating. "Sure, honey," Mom said, her voice suddenly softer. Dad nodded, not saying a word, but his grip on the couch arm was white-knuckled. I hurried into the kitchen, grabbing 3 mugs, 1 green, 2 shaped like polar bears. As I prepared the drinks, I could still hear them arguing in hushed tones. At least they were whispering now. It was a small relief, but it didn't make me feel any better. I returned with the tray, setting the mugs down in front of them. They thanked me, but it felt hollow, like it was all part of some unspoken agreement to pretend everything was okay. We watched the rest of the movie in silence, but the room was filled with an uncomfortable tension. When the movie ended, I gave them both a quick hug and retreated upstairs. I wanted to escape, to pretend that everything was fine, even though I knew it wasn't. I changed into my pajamas, pulled out my old diary from under my pillow, and flipped to a blank page. I held the pen poised above the paper, but for a long time, I couldn't write anything. What could I say? That I was sick of their fighting? That they were ruining Christmas again? My eyes drifted to the old teddy bear sitting on my shelf, dressed in a little Santa suit. It was the last gift I remember truly loving. We'd gone to Build-A-Bear as a family when I was 4, and that Christmas Eve had been perfect. We'd driven around, looking at Christmas lights, singing carols together. It felt like a lifetime ago. I hugged the bear tightly, feeling a rush of bittersweet nostalgia. I climbed back into bed, still clutching the bear, and began to write. "Dear Santa, I know this is silly. I'm too old to be writing to you, but I don't care. It's not like anyone will see this, so I can write whatever I want. This isn't a typical wish list. I don't want toys or clothes or anything like that. What I want, it's not something you can put under the tree. I just want Mom and Dad to stop fighting. That's all I want for Christmas. I just want them to stop. Please. Love, Holly." I scribbled my name quickly and slammed the diary shut, shoving it back under my pillow. I turned off the light and pulled the covers up to my chin, trying to block out the sound of my parents' muffled argument downstairs. The lights from our Christmas display outside cast a red glow across my room. It felt eerie, almost sinister. I squeezed the teddy bear tight and closed my eyes, whispering my wish to myself like a prayer. I want them to stop. I want them to stop. When I woke up the next morning, the house was strangely quiet. I shivered as I slid out of bed, grabbing my robe. The air was icy cold. I padded downstairs, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. I froze at the bottom of the stairs, unable to process what I was seeing. The living room was empty, completely stripped bare. The couch, the TV, the Christmas tree, everything was gone. Even the mountain of presents that had spilled out from under the tree the night before. The only thing left was a dark red smear on the floor, like someone had dragged something heavy out the front door. And there, written in blood across the wall, were the words, "Come outside." My heart pounded in my chest. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I stared at the message, unable to believe it was real. Finally, I took a shaky step towards the open door. I didn't want to go outside. Every instinct told me to run back upstairs, to hide. But something pulled me forward. The cold air hit me like a slap in the face as I stepped onto the porch. The snow crunched under my slippers as I followed the trail of blood around the side of the house. My breath fogged up in front of me, and I could hear my own heart pounding in my ears. I turned the corner and saw them. Mom and Dad were hanging upside down from the big oak tree in our backyard. Thick chains were wrapped around their ankles, swaying gently in the wind. Their bodies were slashed open, their insides spilling out like broken Christmas ornaments. Blood dripped steadily into the snow, staining it a deep, sickening red. I dropped to my knees, a scream clawing its way up my throat, but I couldn't get it out. My hands shook so hard, I thought they might break. I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was big, covered in a white glove. I looked up, tears streaming down my face. Standing next to me was a man in a red suit. His beard was splattered with blood, his eyes cold and empty. He smiled down at me, but there was no kindness in it. "Don't you like your gift, Holly?" he asked softly. "What?" I managed to choke out. "You asked for this," he said, pulling a small book from his coat pocket. My diary. He flipped it open to the page I'd written last night. "You wanted them to stop." "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "I didn't mean it like this." "But you did," he insisted. He tossed the diary into the snow at my feet. "You got exactly what you wished for." I watched in horror as he faded away, leaving me alone in the bloody snow. I looked up at my parents' bodies one last time. Then I finally found my voice, and I screamed until I couldn't scream anymore. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like and subscribe to the channel.